So the ATF's pistol brace rule and their force reset trigger restrictions were recently struck down by Judge O'Connor through a preliminary injunction. In this video, I have some important updates on how the ATF is responding to those injunctions. So let's talk about what's going on. But really quick before we jump into this video, if you think the ATF's pistol brace rule and force reset trigger restrictions are clearly a violation of the Second Amendment, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Also mention that we have a podcast available. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere else. It's under the name Armed Scholar Podcast. So again, thank you guys so much for all of your support, and I hope to see you guys over on the audio side. So like I mentioned in the intro, in this video, we're going to be talking about some important updates that have been happening since Judge O'Connor issued his injunctions against the ATF pistol brace rule and then also their FRT restrictions. You may recall that recently we received a decision from Judge O'Connor in the Mock v. Garland case and also the Texas Gun Rights versus ATF pistol brace lawsuit, and then also the lawsuit against force reset triggers. In the Mock case, the Fifth Circuit sent the issue of the pistol brace rule back down to Judge O'Connor for him to issue a new decision on whether an injunction should be granted against the pistol brace rule. After reviewing the case once again, Judge O'Connor granted the injunction, which prevents the ATF from enforcing the pistol brace rule against FBC and their members, and then also Maxim Defense and their customers. And then after that decision, it had trickle-down effects to other cases where Judge O'Connor was also reviewing the Texas Gun Rights / NAGR lawsuit, again against the ATF and the pistol brace rule. And in that case, Judge O'Connor also granted a preliminary injunction, which protects NAGR, the organization, and their members as well. And then just a couple days after issuing the preliminary injunction in the Mock case and the pistol brace cases, Judge O'Connor also granted a preliminary injunction in the NAGR force reset trigger case. That preliminary injunction prevents the ATF from enforcing their FRT rule against NAGR and all of their members. Now, since those decisions, the ATF's response has been very interesting. First, the ATF has taken little to no legal response or actions to those decisions, but more interestingly is the fact that the ATF and at least some of the field offices have continued to try and enforce these rules, the pistol brace rule, the force reset trigger restrictions, against organizational members despite those injunctions. There have been reports that have popped up right after those decisions that the ATF was trying to go to the homes of NAGR members to search for force reset triggers. And then there was also information that circulated around that an FFL owner who was a member of both FBC and NAGR was under some sort of investigation by his local ATF field office and the agents that were responsible for reviewing his FFL. And again, that was in regards to his possession of braced pistols. Now, originally in Mock v. Garland, the case made its way to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals because Judge O'Connor denied the first request for a preliminary injunction. FBC appealed that denial to the Fifth Circuit, and in response, the Fifth Circuit granted expedited review of the case and also granted a temporary administrative injunction, halting the enforcement of the pistol brace rule. The Fifth Circuit then reviewed the case and found that the plaintiffs should have been granted the original request for an injunction because of their APA claims. The Fifth Circuit's decision found that the plaintiffs did show a likelihood of success on the merits, which is one of the main factors to get an injunction. The Fifth Circuit found that the ATF went beyond their statutory authority with the pistol brace rule, and more specifically, they violated the APA by modifying the rule drastically from the proposed rule to the final rule. The Fifth Circuit then remanded the case back down to Judge O'Connor for him to redecide the pistol brace injunction, and on review, Judge O'Connor agreed that yes, a preliminary injunction must be granted. One of the critical aspects of that order was that not only did Judge O'Connor find that the pistol brace rule also violated the APA, but he also found that the plaintiffs showed a likelihood of success on the merits on the case because of their Second Amendment arguments. The prior Fifth Circuit decision coupled with this new decision by Judge O'Connor has essentially put the ATF in a very bad position. Typically, every time the ATF loses an injunction, they appeal immediately up to the Court of Appeals. However, here the ATF essentially can't do that because the Fifth Circuit has already found that the pistol brace rule likely violates the APA. Any appeal now would fail again because of the APA violations, but also now the door is open for the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals to review the Second Amendment violations of the ATF through the pistol brace rule. The ATF is still within their time to appeal the order if they want. Traditionally, a party has only 30 days to appeal to the Fifth Circuit under the rules, but since the government is involved in this case, they get 60 days for an appeal of that order if they choose to, and that would mean they have at least until December 3rd to file the appeal. But most often, if the ATF is going to appeal the case, if they're going to appeal an order, they will do it within days, not months. This delay tells me that the ATF is likely going to let the pistol brace case move forward in the lower court in front of Judge O'Connor on a merits decision, which means essentially that Judge O'Connor will now get an opportunity to finally rule on the entire case and issue a final judgment on the case. Judge O'Connor has requested that on October 31st, essentially for the ATF and the rest of the parties in the case to indicate how they want to go forward in this case, how they want to proceed forward. So we'll get a lot more clarity on what the ATF strategy is in this upcoming week. Now, again, despite all of this, there was news that broke that the ATF went after an FFL owner because of his possession of braced pistols. The FFL owner sent an email to the ATF field officers, the office identifying the cases that we're referencing here, and notifying them that he was protected by the injunctions. The information, I believe, was then sent to the ATF supervisor, who then essentially responded to the email by saying that they were not going to follow the Judge O'Connor decision. His belief was that the decision by Judge O'Connor in that district court was not binding on other district courts, which he's not a district court, he's just simply an agent of the ATF, which is very much bound by that order. But that defiance is not isolated to just what's going on with pistol braces. The ATF is doing the very same thing with the FRT injunctions. Recently, Rare Breed partnered with NAGR to file a lawsuit against the ATF in the Northern District of Texas. Again, it was also in front of Judge O'Connor, who issued a preliminary injunction against the ATF and that FRT rule. He found that the Fifth Circuit's Cargill bump stock case and this whole FRT issue kind of go together, and therefore he ruled that the FRT rule is invalid. Again, despite that injunction, just days later in West Virginia, we received a report from NAGR and their president Dudley Brown that a member of NAGR was contacted by the ATF, and the ATF notified that individual that they would be coming to their home to confiscate that FRT. In response, NAGR and their attorneys contacted the ATF and notified the ATF that that individual was protected by the Judge O'Connor injunction. NAGR also sent a representative to the home of that individual with a camera, and they were essentially prepared just in case the ATF showed up. Ultimately, the ATF responded by saying that they were not aware that the person was a member of the organization, and they said that they would have no way of knowing that unless the organization gives up their membership list, which, to their credit, NAGR, the organization there, told the ATF to go pound sand. Now, on the legal side of this and the ATF's response to the FRT injunction, seemingly the same thing is going on with the pistol brace case. It seems like the ATF there is deciding that they're going to move forward in this case, that they're not going to appeal the injunction. Instead, they're going to let this proceed forward on cross motions for summary judgment. Both NAGR and the ATF are asking for Judge O'Connor in motions for summary judgment to rule in their favor on the merits of the case and decide the case in their favor right here and now. So in my opinion, because of the ATF losing so many times in the Fifth Circuit on appeals, the strategy right now in both of these cases is to simply move forward on the motion for summary judgment requests. The ATF still has time to appeal the injunctions if they want, but the typical response of the ATF is to immediately appeal these if they lose, and that has just not happened in either of these cases. That means for the immediate future, if you're a member of FBC or NAGR or any of these other organizations that have injunctions protecting them, your possession of braced pistols and these items is still protected. However, again, keep in mind the ATF in the real world and their response to all of this has still been to try and to enforce the rules against individuals. So if you are ever contacted by the ATF because of your possession of maybe braced pistols or FRTs, I highly recommend first you contact an attorney, don't talk to the agents, and then reach out to the organizations that maybe you're protected by, which would be FBC or NAGR. Contact them and let them know what is going on with your situation. So that is a breakdown of where we currently stand with the ATF's pistol brace rule, their attempts to maybe overturn it, and then also the FRT case. As things develop and we get more information, I, of course, will let you guys know. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment down below, and I will try to answer to the best of my ability. Also, if you like this video and you would like to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm, and it signals to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos and in this type of 2A news. But regardless, thank you guys so much for all of your support, and never forget, this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.